That's how this one's going to go.
Good morning. Welcome to the 2018 Nova Scotia Provincial Junior Curling Championships from the Lakeshore Curling Club in Sackville, Nova Scotia. Being brought to you by Bell TV1. Our title sponsor is the AMJ Campbell Moving Company. And this morning feature game will be Sebastian LeFort from the Sydney Curling Club and Ethan Young from the Mayflower Curling Club. I'm Chris Mosier and joined with John Seitman this morning. Good morning, John.
Good morning, Chris. Looks like it should be a good game. These two teams have been together for a very long time and have been really playing well this year, so it should be a critical morning for some good curling here at Lakeshore.
The teams are just finished the draw to the button, and they're just sorting out who got the hammer here. So a couple of the other games this morning on Sheet B, we have Ryan Abraham playing Graham Wiggle. On Sheet D, we have Team Sweeney from Yarmouth playing Justin Gray from the Mayflower Curling Club. And over on Sheet E, we have...
that would be Matthew Manuel versus Stefanos Sikolik on that game on E. So as we get started here on our feature game, Sheet C, we have Team Young's Aidan Kavanagh throwing the first stone, so that means that Sebastian LeFort out of Sydney will have the last rock playing the yellow stones.
This one's just sliding to the back of the 12-foot. I think it'll hang around.
Yeah, it just comes to rest at the back of the 12. So as we get started, we'll quickly introduce the teams. As we said, Team LeFort currently in the hack, Aidan Kavanagh. Aidan McNutt. He is the lead. The second is Reese Couture. The third is Nicholas McKenzie, and the skip is Sebastian LeFort, and they are coached by Yvonne LeFort.
On the Team Young side, we've got the lead Aidan Kavanagh. Sorry, my tongue hasn't woken up yet this morning. Second is Chris Churchill, and Kieran McIntosh is the third. Ethan Young is the skip, with their coach is Brian McIntosh, and out of the Mayflower Curling Club.
So Kavanagh again throwing a pretty high guard here. Both teams playing relatively open curling here so far this morning. Not too much need to force the issue early. As our viewers may remember, the games here at the AMJ Campbell Junior Provincial Championship are 10 ends of play, 38 minutes of thinking time, and if necessary, after that completion of the 10 ends, if we are all level, we will play an extra end to decide the winner.
Looks like they're just going to play a takeout here. Oh, just got a piece. It's got to go hard to get that one out. Just moved it off to the edge of the 12-foot. So Ethan is called for another rock just in the top of the 8-foot there on the center line.
And now, because of the fact that he does have that rock at the edge of the 12, it gives him the ability to play a little bit more aggressive maybe, and try to maybe force Sebastian into calling a few shots that he may have not wanted to call this early in the game.
This one looks a little warm starting out here. One thing I noticed from yesterday was they can really drag these rocks quite a ways on this sheet of ice.
Yes, and it does seem like it has been running pretty slick, so
Yeah.
it can make for some really challenging times for the sweepers trying to figure out some of the weights and get it just precise.
So Team LeFort here is just trying to remove that blue rock over in the 12-foot. And just got a piece and rolls out. No rocks in play here in the first end. I suspect as the teams settle in here, the first end should be pretty wide open from what we're seeing so far.
Yeah, generally in this long a game, no need to force the issues. Save a little bit of your thinking time for later in the game when you really actually do need it.
So if you're new to curling and haven't watched a lot of the games, these games are timed, as John mentioned, the 38 minutes of thinking time. And thinking time is when the rock for the opposing team comes to rest until the other team throws the rock and the rock goes across the tee line. So basically, if there's nothing going on, the clock is running.
And that's pretty similar to what some of our viewers may have seen if they've also watched the Grand Slam of curling. That's where it began before going into your events that you would see like the Tim Hortons Brier and the Scotties Tournament of Hearts, and is now a standard in curling.
So Team LeFort is just asking for a rock here in the rings. It seems a little warm. I noticed this yesterday for the first end or so. The teams had a bit of a hard time to get to that, get the weight down because everybody was throwing it through the rings. I believe the split times yesterday were over 4 seconds, which is great curling ice. Nice and quick.
And that's what you always want with this caliber of play. If you can give the players really good ice and give them the ability to make good shots on good ice, it makes for exciting games to watch. And the viewers are in for a treat all week here at Lakeshore with these conditions.
Yes, please stop by, watch a game or two. Come in, you can go out and sit on the ice, listen to the players firsthand. You don't have a lot of spectators out on the sheet this morning, but as the games progress, and I suspect there will be more spectators out on the bleachers.
Always seems like we have a full house sometimes once we get toward the finals in our Nova Scotia provincial curling events. So it would be great to see some of our viewers if you can stop on by here, watch some exciting curling here as these teams in junior men's and junior women's play look to qualify for the Canadian Junior Championships in Quebec.
This one seems a little lighter. Boys are starting to hammer it there, but I think it's going to over-curl on the guard there. So something we noticed yesterday on this sheet is it's pretty straight coming to the center line, but once it gets to the center line, it'll move pretty hard coming off the center line. So it really can sometimes be tricky to get behind that center line guard.
So now with the overlap, it does give the opportunity for Kieran McIntosh to try to play a nice come around and force some pressure onto Team LeFort.
So this one's not looking too bad. The boys are on and off. So usually if they're on and off, that means it's usually pretty close. You can see here how it's hanging pretty straight now. As it gets to that center line, it'll start to make a bit of a move, but
Churchill's going to need to go here, and it does settle at the top of the 4.
So that one's pretty much wide open. Probably either try to hit it on the nose or maybe even hit and roll away a little bit. I don't think you can get to the inside of that.
Nicholas McKenzie here looking for the hit. McNutt working on it. Will catch a piece. Will get out the back. Clears the house.
So this is Ethan's first rock. You're going to see Ethan try to come down and bury a little more of that rock behind the center guard, the 2 overlap stones there in the front of the rings. Ethan's just settling into his pre-shot routine there. He's getting ready for his first rock. They're hollering for line. They're starting to hammer pretty hard.
Yeah, they really want to get behind the guard if possible. Looks like it is moving. So
Starting to move. It's might be a little on the heavy side. Just through the back of the rings. So now that gives an opportunity for Sebastian to come behind that center guard as well now.
And if Sebastian is able to get a little bit more curl to get behind the guards, it really forces a pressure draw and could maybe get his deuce if executed perfectly.
Yeah, if he can bury it behind that guard there, I think it definitely sets him up for a good possibility. He does have last rock, so it's just such a hard spot to bury there because it'll hang so straight, but then once it gets to that center line, it comes off there pretty hard. So it's a case of almost feathering the center line until it gets just past the guards there. This one seems a little bit outside, so I don't know if it's going to bury. Might be a little bit warm. Kieran is trying to take it back. It just settles nicely in the back of the 8 foot. You'll see Ethan try to come up there at the top of the 4 foot, a little bit buried. If he can bury one around here, he may be able to force Sebastian to take in his one.
So Ethan Young with his final stone of the first end, hoping to bury his stone around the guard and force the issue. Looks like sweepers are working on it, trying to get by the guard.
Starting to come now across there, slowly.
By the first, working hard on it to bury it.
Such a hard spot to bury there. That's not a bad spot. Once we get another angle there, I can see how much it's buried behind the guard. It's not a lot, maybe a little less than half, maybe. So he could come back with maybe just back 12-foot weight and just kind of gently nudge it back. Sebastian may be able to get his deuce. If not, even just come down to the nose of it and get his one. I think he'd be happy with that. It's a really good shot by Ethan. Sebastian's last shot of the first end. Trying to get his deuce. Gave that a little push at the end there. I don't know if he set it outside or... It's hanging pretty straight. Looks Looks like it's going to be a steal of 1 for blue, Team Young. So after the first end, it'll be Team Young with 1, Sebastian LeFort 0, and Hammer will be with Team LeFort. As they put the scores up on the other sheets here, we'll give you updates throughout the morning. I'm just waiting for him to put the score up here on sheet B. This is Aiden Kavanaugh. He's throwing his first rock. So I'm just looking at their bios here a little bit. So Aiden's 15, grade 12 at Prince Andrew High School. It's his 10th year curling. He's also a competitive golfer, winning the 2017 Brightwood Bantam Club Championships. So I guess like most curlers, when he's not curling, he's golfing.
And it's amazing to see with a team like Ethan Young that even with the fact that they're one of the younger teams in the field, they're truly a very experienced combo. Like you look, the least experience is 9 years of curling, and that's exceptional for the future of our sport here in Nova Scotia, with teams like that playing so well for such a long time. I remember when those guys were in Little Rocks.
Yeah, it didn't seem like very long ago that they were in Little Rocks. So the first rock there, Ethan put it in the top of the 12-foot, or top of the 4-foot. And they're just coming down to put a tight guard on it. Sebastian, I'm not sure if that was the called shot to put a guard there. So it looks like Ethan is going to come down and try to sit on top of that, I think. He may totally block it off and come short. That wouldn't be a bad call either. So after the first end on sheet B, Team Weagle and Team Abraham. Team Weagle is up 1-0 over Abraham. On sheet D, there was a blank, and that was between
Sweeney and Gray.
Yeah, and on sheet E, between Manuel and Sokolik was also a blank. So all the games are pretty close after the first end. So that rock just overcurled a little bit. So that still leaves Team LeFort a open hit and possibly a roll if he can get to the inside. So Aiden McNutt is he's curled for 10 years. He goes to Sydney Academy in grade 12, and he's considering a career in physics. Well, he's right in the right sport. Curling and physics go hand in hand.
And then second Reese Couture, he has been curling for 8 years, and started off with Team LeFort as their 5th during the 2015-16 season. Is a grade 12 at Sydney Academy. He currently a member of the Combat Engineers in the Reserves, and he looks to become a construction tech when he graduates high school in June.
So this will be Chris Churchill's first rock. Looks like he's going to try to come behind the two guards that are up front there. So they're calling a 3 here right now as it's coming down. 3 is just short of the rings. The boys are hammering it pretty hard. Looks like it's going to come up just short. So most of the teams all use a numbering system from the hog line to the back line. And 1 being just over, 7 being the tee line. So 3 would be roughly halfway, just short of the rings. So Sebastian's going to try to come in behind that guard there a little bit.
So as we see Nicholas McKenzie, the third for Team LeFort, throw his first of two. He is 18 years old, curling for 8 years out, and is a grade 12 at Riverview High School. Looks to go into the Canadian Coast Guard College and is a junior firefighter. Few guards in play up there.
Yeah, that one just came a little bit short, over curled. So Ethan's going to try to go behind here. So we got lots of rocks in play out front. So if somebody can suck one in there, that definitely won't set him up pretty good. This is Karen's first rock. Or sorry, no, this is Chris's first rock, or second rock. We're not directly behind the sheet here, so we're looking off on an angle. So we're looking through a couple people if we're not looking at the screen here. So sometimes that can be a little challenging. This one's definitely not going to over curl. I don't know if it's going to get buried. It's not in a bad, it's really good weight. Just didn't seem to get that inside finish that they were hoping for. So this one lets LeFort here. If he can get to the inside of this and roll behind there, that'd be really nice for him. Just so straight when it gets out there. I think the key is to bring your weight down a little bit.
And a lot of the challenges because of the fact that it's so fast, sometimes it can fool the thrower a little bit. So you have to sort of trust that even if you think that it may be a little bit less than what you would normally throw on a faster surface, slower surface, it gives them, you need to be able to just trust it, that it will go.
That was a nice shot by Chris. Got the outside. Sorry, that wasn't Chris. That was by Team LeFort. Got the outside roll there and just hung it on the edge of the 12-foot. So it takes the play away from the center a little bit. Looks like he's trying to get Karen to remove this stone. And it looks like it's probably just going to hit it and stick right on the nose. It's a good shot. Trying to keep that play away from the center a little bit. It's hard to get any movement way out there on the wings at all. Yesterday we saw a few rocks. If you throw any amount of weight at all, if anything, it'll back up a little bit. Boys are just watching this come down here. It's a nice hit right on the nose. Again, very little movement out there. Ethan's going to try to hit this again. Just changing his ice a little bit, hoping for a little bit of an inside roll to bury behind those guards there if he can. Kieran's 14 is in grade 9 and goes to Fairview. He's in his 9th year. And Kieran's a goalie in lacrosse, and he golfs and plays guitar and trumpet. Ooh, very talented young individual. That one there just rolled out. Gives a chance for Team LeFort to try to come in behind the those pile of rocks out front there.
And the biggest thing on this shot again is just trusting that you don't have to throw as much weight as you may think, and that it's going to curl. So if you can just give it just a little bit that you need and let the sweepers do their job, they can really put a nice one tight into the rings. McNutt working on it there. Both of them trying to work hard on that. Will it get there and enough to the center?
The weight was pretty good. It just didn't get that sideways movement they were hoping for. It's definitely it's a tough spot there. So this is going to leave Ethan a shot here for a hit and roll in behind there, because that's pretty much wide open. Curling's a tough game because it can play with your mind a little bit, because ideally you want to hit it on the inside and roll in behind, but at the same time you don't want to go too far and wreck on those guards out there. So visually he's telling himself he doesn't want to hit the guards, but mentally he's wishing he could get into the inside. So if you're just tuning in, you're watching the 2018 AMJ Campbell Nova Scotia Provincial Junior Curling Championships from the Lakeshore Curling Club in Sackville, Nova Scotia, and you're watching Team Ethan Young from Mayflower playing against Sebastian LeFort out of the Sydney Curling Club. So this is Ethan's first rock here, and Ethan is trying to get that inside roll and didn't seem to get the inside roll.
Will roll away. Appears to there just left the house, so Sebastian will look to play that same draw behind that he's been trying to get the past few stones. As he heads down, looking at his bio, he's very experienced in the sport, total of 11 years curling. He started curling competitively when him and his friends decided to try out for the Canada Winter Games. It introduced him to competitive curling, and they've been there ever since, and is a grade 12 at Centre Scolaire Étoile de l'Acadie in Sydney, Nova Scotia.
Glad you pronounced that. So they're just watching this one come down, kind of a little bit on off. It's got a ways to go to bury behind the guards. The weight looks pretty good there.
Sweeper's working on it still. Gets to the top of the four.
So just to the top. It looks to be wide open, I think, from what I can tell. So just looking here, Ethan, he's 15, grade 10 at, oh my. I'll let John say this here.
They call it secondaire de sommet.
Yeah, he's good at this. It's his 11th year of curling. Ethan's a golfer. He officiates baseball in Hammonds Plains Baseball Association. I've watched Ethan officiate ball a few times, and he's all business behind the plate. Nobody tells Ethan what to do behind the plate. He's a great official. So this is Ethan's last rock here. Just trying to remove the yellow rock. Fairly routine just hit. Love to get to the inside, but they seem to have been fighting that this whole sheet. Karen's screaming at him to go hard.
Sweeper's working on it, trying to get it by. Will get it by.
Couldn't get that inside roll there. So Sebastian, I would think, would try to remove this and probably blank this end if he can. Like to remain with the hammer. Sebastian's just going down to the far end there. There he is, all set up, ready to go.
So final stone in end number 2, Sebastian LeFort from the Sydney Curling Club. Looking to go for the blank here.
Boys haven't laid a broom to it yet. Oh, there they go. Nope.
It's a little bit.
And
Gets the hit, gets the roll in, blank end. So Sebastian LeFort will retain the hammer in end number 3. Score still remains 1-0 for Ethan Young out of the Mayflower.
And that was the second end.
Oh, second end.
Yeah. No. On a little update as they're getting ready to start here on sheet B. Ryan Abraham got his deuce with the hammer. So it's 2-1 Ryan after 2 ends of play. They haven't put the score up on sheet D yet. And on sheet E, Matthew Manuel got 1 and leads 1-0 after 2. So Ethan's is in the rings, and looks like he called for a rock just out front of the rings there. Aiden throws his first one. It seems to be going nice. I don't know. That one's just going to settle in the top of the 8-foot, I believe. No, top of the 12-foot. So LeFort has asked for a corner guard.
And around now is a good time that if they wanted to force the issue a little bit with the last rock, they can do it. They have the time that they can put the pressure on here and maybe really get a good chance to try to get a multiple through the use of that corner guard.
Yeah, corner guards are great. If you can get one up there, and didn't quite get quite as much movement as he was hoping there maybe, but that's a good spot for it. So Ethan's looking at a little tap back on his own there, push his own back maybe just to the top of the button. As the week goes on, you'll notice the intensity of the players starts to go up. They played their first game yesterday afternoon, so the nerves are starting to slowly move out a little bit. For some of these teams, it's their first time at this event. I believe it's Ethan's first time here at this event. Sebastian, I know, was in it last year. That one's just over curling on him. He got to the inside of that, but, you know, that's actually a really good miss because it's right in there behind the yellow corner guard. So definitely puts a little pressure on Sebastian now.
And I guess our viewers would also see there that with our 2 feature games, both ours here on sheet C and the game on D, both of those games feature teams that lost their first game. So this event is a triple knockout event, so a lot of pressure on especially these 4 teams to get a win to get back in the race, or else they could be facing elimination in their next.
Yes, you're right. Yeah. Actually, both games yesterday were close. I believe one of the games, actually, the loss was in an extra end.
That was Sebastian. Stefano Sokolic from the Mayflower stole the extra end after LeFort had an extremely well-played game. So it was a bit disappointing for him to lose that one, but again, that's curling sometimes. You get a little bit of a miss, and that can result in a well-played game going down as a loss.
So as Aiden delivers his second shot here. He's trying to come down and just almost freeze on top of his blue one there. It's such a tricky spot there because you got to get to that center line before it'll come across. If not, it'll hang dead straight. So I think you're going to see Sebastian try to remove a couple of these rocks if he could. He's probably hoping for a double. Just catch it just off nose there. I think you get the two blue ones. Boys are going on this one pretty hard. That one, see, you can see that one's there. It's coming over the center line, so he's just on the guard, just a little inside. Ethan's going to ask for a guard. He's going to try to guard his shot rock there, the one in the middle.
And it will be important for him to get that place just right with Chris's stone here, as if he can block the double and make it that maybe Sebastian has to call for a peel or something to clear out the front. It would put a lot of pressure and maybe make it a little bit harder later in the end. So Kavanaugh and McIntosh working on that.
Yeah, they're trying to curve it over there a little bit. That actually looks like a really good shot there. Did exactly what Ethan called for, guarding the shot rock. Still leaves possibility of a double there somewhere, so you could try that one or even the other one coming down the center line, but he's going to try to change it up a little bit. I'd like to, if he could roll, hit the outside there on the, I guess your left, and roll into the button, that'd be ideal for him. So lots of weight here. Trying to push it over a little bit. Just couldn't get that, just no movement out there, eh? It's just so tough.
Yeah, and that could be something that could stay going as the game goes on, or it could change a little bit as the pebble starts to wear down. So maybe something for us to watch as it continues.
Yeah, for sure. It's pretty cold outside today as well, so that'll affect the ice a little bit as well. As the temperatures outside, it'll make the ice a little cooler, so that also tries to straighten it out a little bit. So Kieran is trying to hit that yellow one that was just thrown by Team LeFort. That one seemed to get a little bit of movement. So he's getting in, and he's actually doing exactly what LeFort was trying to do. Right now it's set up pretty nice for Ethan.
So there's a few options there either way, whether he is calling for the peel, but there could be a few pro side miss, so to speak, that would result in a few of the rocks inside the house getting moved around.
Yeah, for sure. If it would overcurl and drive it back, you may get a little bit lucky, and it just made the peel. Just missed the top one going by there, so Ethan's going to try to throw up another guard. This is Kieran's last rock of the third end. He's just trying to basically put it in the same spot at the one that Team LeFort just removed there. This one might be a little heavier. It might actually be in the rings here. No, that's pretty good actually. That yeah, that's looks like the easiest one to hit there. If you can get, I would say, not quite half a rock, a little less than half a rock there, you could get the top two for sure.
So Nicholas McKenzie with this one looking to get the hit, drives it back, moves both out of the rings. Young still sits the two.
Young is looking to put another guard up there. He wants to block that off. Don't blame him. He's looking pretty good right now. I don't know. Sometimes I always find the guard is one of the hardest shots in curling. Everyone has a preference what they believe is the hardest shot. I always find the guard is hard for me because I'm usually heavy on my guards. But we'll see where Ethan ends up putting it here. He's just calling for it out just in front of the rings, blocking that one on the center line.
And I guess the way I see it, there when it comes to a guard being the hardest shot, one of the hardest shots in curling, is that you need a lot more precise weight, and there's a lot more ways to miss simply in where the rock comes to rest. A takeout, there are many ways to miss a takeout yet still make it.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, and I mean, there's so many hard shots in curling. I don't think there's any easy shots in curling. We'll see this one. Boys are working on this one pretty hard. Nice thing about this ice is you can drag it forever. So
these sweepers have great technique working on it.
They do, yeah. This one's starting to overcurl maybe a little bit.
Oh, looks like it did.
So let's we get an angle down the sheet there to see what it looks like. So Sebastian could almost come right down there, maybe back 4 weight and tap that, or even freeze to it. I'm not sure if he freezes to it if he shot. No, he has to move it, yeah, for sure. So just back 4 weight, maybe a little tap to the back of the forefoot there, or not even that far really. And the tables will change now. That doesn't seem like a lot of ice to me, so I don't know. He might be playing a little more weight than what I was anticipating.
And with that ice, it could be a challenge to get a little bit of that that roll behind to make Ethan's final shot a lot harder. And they moved even further in.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
So it's a tough spot there because it'll once it gets across that center line, it's just going to go. But definitely want to let it ride on that center line as long as you can. And you can see hasn't moved an inch so far. So it's starting to go there now. It goes. Oh, I think it brushed the top one there, didn't it?
Yep, it did.
Wow. Well, that's not bad. Is that back one on? Can't quite tell there.
They're a bit unsure on that. So it may be one of those ones that if it happened that it did come into the count, that you could see them bring out the 6-foot measure.
Yeah, for sure.
To be sure. But generally, I've often seen that the rings are generally pretty spot on, but you never know, so always worth the check.
And it's sometimes hard for us to tell, so we've got a camera mounted above the sheet, but if the camera isn't necessarily mounted right above the sheet, it's hard to tell if the camera's on an angle, if it's on or not from our perspective. So we'll have to wait and see if that rock comes into play.
And sometimes for people who remember in curling history that those little potential biters can come into effect. It almost got Jeff Stout in a trip to the extra end in the Roar of the Rings when it was here in Halifax back in 2005. So always important to check to be sure.
Yep. This is Ethan's last rock here. So I think he called for it just in front of the forefoot. We'll see where this ends up here. It's looking pretty good. Just in the rings. So should be going to force Sebastian to basically a draw to the forefoot, I think. Unless he's going to try a double here, but I'm not sure. It's an option, but I think I'd feel more comfortable trying to throw the draw, but looks like he might be leaning towards a hit, though. We're just talking about it now.
Again, it all depends really on first how open the front stone is, and maybe how confident that Sebastian may be that stone at the back is not in the rings.
Well, that's true too. If the one in the rings is in, then definitely you may want to change your strategy. They still seem to be discussing it. I'm trying to think now. Has Sebastian thrown a draw in the last couple ends? I don't think he has.
Not particularly. He seems to be leaning a lot more to the hit game.
Yeah, it looks like that's what he's going with. He's going with the hit. So he's going to try to basically just off nose there, get the double and take his one, I guess. Well, I don't know if he can get. I don't think he can roll a shooter out though, and get the double.
Depends on how hard he throws it too. Final stone for Sebastian LeFort with the hammer. Appears to be going for the double. Sweeper's working on it.
And
Gets the hit.
oh,
His stone rolls out.
so he stuffed it. Now the question is the one in the back on? Well, they didn't even look at it, so they were either sure it was in or sure it was out. My gut says it was out, but we're going to see when they put the score up here.
And it's in. There was a 2 on the board.
Yeah, so it's
Steal a 2.
steal the 2, 3-0 for Team Young after 3 ends of play here in Sackville. And Team LeFort will remain with the hammer.
Just as we start this end, we'll quickly update the 2 games that I do see have scores up on the scoreboards. On sheet D in our other feature game with Dan Hobson, scores are all level at 1 apiece between Justin Gray and Team Logan Sweeney. And on sheet E, in that game, it is Stefano Sikolik up 2-1 over the former provincial champion Matthew Manuel of the Mayflower.
They haven't put the score up here on sheet B, so I'm not sure what happened in the third end. So once they put the score up, we'll let you know. So Ethan threw up a tight center guard. Looks like Sebastian is probably going to throw up the corner guard. Boys haven't laid a broom to this one.
Looks like it's a little bit heavy and will go into the rings. Question is how far?
Just almost biting the 4-foot. Ethan's looking at a little hit and roll here, and behind his center guard he just threw.
And a little note for our viewers that we'll be watching with the games on sheet B and sheet E, because as those two games are the ones with the 1-0 teams. Those two the winners will be facing off in the A qualifier final at 4 o'clock on sheet D in our feature game. I will have the call for you on that one, and it should be a good one as they qualified the first team for the playoffs.
So Ethan didn't get the roll there he was hoping for, so Sebastian's going to try it now. You can see they're playing the hit, and they're taking right almost the middle of the rock, even less than that. I almost refer to it as negative ice. So trying to get that roll because there's 0 movement. So rock's coming down here. Boys are following nice and close. Let's see what happens here. They haven't touched it, which leads me to think it's either on the nose or just a little outside. Just a little bit of a bounce inside, but it's still wide open. Ethan will give her a shot again, I think, to try to get behind that center guard.
And it does appear from just the angle that we're watching it that Sebastian and his team have pretty the way that they release the stone. It does sort of seem to glide out a little bit, so they can afford to take a little bit less.
especially on ice like this, the is so key in these games, because a little bit of an outside push at all, and you're losing time for that rock to come back. So it's really important for everyone on the team to have as close as they can to the same sort of release. Again, no inside roll there at all. Just no movement. So Sebastian's even taking less ice now, a little less than he took before.
I suppose with the fact that he did find that it did sort of glide out a little bit. If he plays a little bit less, he can either get potentially to the nose or get a little bit of that roll behind. Sweepers appear to be thinking that it's up. Looks up to me here.
Yeah. Maybe we just got to get our, like a little bit of an outside roll. Just roll out of play. That'll leave Ethan an opportunity to draw behind that center guard, I think. See if that's the call, but. Okay, he's going to look at another option. I think he's going to raise it back. That's not a bad call either, actually. With no movement in the ice at all, that definitely makes it a little easier. He's asked Chris to a little raise here. Sometimes with straighter ice, the raise is the easier shot. Even if you don't get it straight back, you might get a little off nose, and so just over curled a little bit. Knocks it into the open, but that'll give Sebastian a little bit of hit, and he's looking to roll off to the wing a little bit.
And again, pretty much taking practically on right where he wants it to hit. So
Yeah, no movement there at all.
no movement at all.
So these teams, Scotia Curling Association's provincial rock, so I wouldn't say they're a better rock. They might be. I'm not a big rock expert, but one thing I know talking to one of the teams yesterday was that there's definitely a lot more liveliness to the rock. So when they touch the rock, two rocks hit, there's lots of movement in the rings, which is nice. And they get maintained regularly and sharpened regularly, so that gives them a little more curl than maybe some of the club rocks that may not get maintained as much. But I think Lakeshore does a pretty good job here with their rocks as well. So, but they're using the provincial rocks for now, and
also because of the fact that the provincial rocks, that they're used a little bit less specifically just for events, and these big major events, it maintains a little bit of that ability for the rocks to stay lively and not get worn down as much. So makes for a treat for the ones throwing them.
Yes. So if you're not a big avid curler, I guess these rocks regularly sharpened, and maybe not like a hockey skate sharpened, but they a piece of sandpaper run over the bottom, and it doesn't make the bottom sharp to your hands, but it does make it sharp to the pebble. And when the rock starts to slow down, it'll bite the pebble, and that's what'll push the rock sideways. Definitely once the weight starts to come off. So he's elected to come in behind here. It's a little heavy. It's going to slide to the back of the 8-foot, maybe 12-foot. Just hold on at the back of the 12-foot. So that one actually is behind. Look here to see what Ethan's going to do. He's going to be a little aggressive and try to come right in behind it. It's a good call. This is Kieran's last rock, I believe. So rock's coming down. Haven't touched it yet again.
Probably waiting for it to move a little bit. Looks slightly heavy to me here. So.
Yeah, it's a little heavy. It's got to curl a little bit to catch that back one. It's just going to slide by. So a little bit of a break for Sebastian. That gives him the opportunity to come in there now. Look at possibly getting his deuce. It's just getting set up in the rings there, or in the hack, and just coming out. This would be a great opportunity to sit one just in front of the 4 foot, or on the 4 foot in front of the tee line. And
McNutt and coach are working on it here.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a little light or if they're going pretty hard. Oh, no, they're off now.
They were probably trying to get a little bit to get it so that they could just get that curl around.
Yeah, it's so hard.
And looks like they're going to get that first chance at it, getting it pretty deep behind.
Yeah, so that's actually buried pretty good there. That was a really good shot. That one actually did come in. So definitely turns the tables a little bit for Ethan. So Ethan looks like now he's going to rip the center guard. Now I don't know if he's looking at driving it back onto the pile or just opening it up.
It's pretty lined up there from what we can see here. That if you hit that of his a little bit, I think it's on almost on the inside of center. Just a hair off. It may be enough to drive it back and get at least one of the stones of Sebastian's in the rings. Challenging, but well enough that he could make it.
They're screaming.
Working hard on it.
That one's starting to go on him. I don't know if he got that started or not. No, still got it. Didn't get any of the rocks in the rings. So that's going to leave Sebastian an opportunity now to put up another rock. So it looks like he's looking at either just in front of the rings or top 12.
And the important thing on this shot is definitely in the spacing, that they really they don't want to put enough to make it that Ethan has the opportunity at a double, because chances are if he's given the possibility to throw a double, he's playing well enough, he's going to have a good chance at making it.
So this is Sebastian's first rock of the fourth end. One thing, these games are all 10-end games. A lot of these teams don't play a lot of 10-end games except for in the under-21s. Because most of the events we all do are 8-end games, so the little more time to relax and settle in. That's why sometimes you'll see the first few ends are fairly wide open. Boys are working on it pretty hard here. They want to just get it on, and
appears to be into the 12s.
Yeah,
there you go.
It is. So that one of them, though, or just back of the button, seems to be almost maybe half wide open, maybe even a little more than that. Ethan's looking at taking the top one. So what's it looking like here? Looks like he's going to try to take the top one. I don't know if that's his, he's going to try to hit and stick and try to hopefully get a double out of that. I'm assuming that's what he's trying to do.
Yeah, if he tries to get the double, he pretty much forces Sebastian to take.
Yeah.
And then he's up by one, retaining the hammer. So very good possibility if he makes this. A little bit of a speed wobble out of the hack. Working on it there.
Oh. So Sebastian's sitting 2 right now, and he's got a draw for 3. So that'll Sebastian can get in there for his third one. That'll tie it right up here after 4 ends. See how it goes here. Sebastian had just thrown the draw to the top 12, so he should be fairly good with his weight. Seemed like he gave it a little bit of a push there at the end. Boys are just working on it. They're not working too hard just yet. I can hear somebody hollering, but I don't think it's a sheet. Our sheet.
Us there.
No.
Just dusting it in.
Yeah, that looks pretty good. So after 4 ends of play, we're all tied up 3-3, and Ethan Young will have the hammer going into the 5th end. And over here on sheet B, it looks like Wiggle just scored 2, so they're up 3-2 after 4. It's still a scoreboard still indicating a tie game on sheet D between Logan Sweeney and Justin Gray.
Yeah, that game I believe is just finishing the 4th hand. They look like they're on skip stones over there.
Okay, and they haven't updated the score yet over on sheet E as well. It's still 2-1 for Sokolic.
Yeah, they just completed, so we'll watch for a score on that one and update you, our viewers.
So as they settle in here, I see our bleachers are starting to fill up here in Lakeshore Curling Club in Sackville, Nova Scotia. So please come in. There's quite a few people standing around back here behind the glass watching as well. I'm not sure who's the smart ones. It's definitely fun to be out on the ice, but it's nice and warm to be in behind the glass, so that's a bit of a perk.
But I guess the total perk is getting to watch some excellent junior curling. This is the future of our sport, and some of these young men that you see here you could be seeing in a few years, maybe at the Tim Hortons Briar, and some of our young junior women's players you could be seeing them at the Scotties.
Oh no, for sure.
So
on the girls' side,
the
Sir was the first junior team to qualify for the Scotties playdowns here in Nova Scotia. So that was a big perk for them. They were the feature game last evening. So as we deliver in the first rock here, the 5th end, Ethan, I think, was looking for a guard. Just a nice corner guard. And it looks like it's... I think that's what he was calling for. Was he calling for the corner guard?
I believe he was. I was just looking away as he called.
Yeah,
so.
And that wasn't the first run. I missed the rock, so I assume it must have went through because I see it sitting behind there. I looked away for a second. So Ethan did throw the corner guard, or had asked for the corner guard. So now LeFort is throwing up a center guard again. So maybe a little bit of a weight adjustment there. Might get a little wicky-ticky over to the center line for him. That worked out pretty good. Pushes the guard over a little further, opens up a path to get in there, and got a nice center guard. So it looks like Ethan is going to play the tick shot. Something we don't see a lot of. But we'll see what happens here.
And this type of shot has been an essential now for the leads of today's competitive curling world. We've seen it a lot at the top. It's been even coming down to this level too. And it looks like he executed it really well.
Yeah, that was a really nice tick shot.
we'll just quickly update as Sebastian calls that shot. Just saw there on sheet E in end number 4. Manuel from the Mayflower taking 3 in the 4th. He takes a 4-2 lead over Stefano Sokolic, and Sokolic will have the hammer in end number 5. So Reese Couture here. Drawing to the wing, trying to get around that guard.
Just over curling a little bit and rolling back to the center. I'm going to have a lot of corner guards here. So we play the 4 rock rule here. So the first 4 rocks can't be removed if they're not in the rings. So looks like Ethan's going to try to peel this one off. So if you're watching, you can see all the players here, a lot of them anyways, all have sponsor shirts and coats, and it's own team individual sponsors. And you know, a lot of these teams, to get to the level where they want to be, they have to go into a lot of events and a lot of travel costs, a lot of hotel costs and entry fee costs. So that's why you'll see them all decked out in their sponsorships. AMJ Campbell is the title sponsor for this event at the 2018 Nova Scotia Junior Provincial Curling Championships here in Lakeshore Curling Club in Sackville, Nova Scotia. Please stop by and come in and visit and sit down, and there's lots of folks who are always willing to talk to you. This one, oh, I think that was a little bit of a sweeping call there that just nicked the guard as it went by. I think if they would have swept that a little bit, it would have sucked right in there nice. So Ethan's just going to try to remove this rock. Rock's coming down. They're signifying that it could be a little hot. When you watch their hands, they're kind of pointing, waving up towards the sky, but no inside roll there. Really no roll at all. Again, it's on that just outside on the edge of the forefoot there. There's just no movement at all. So Sebastian's going to try it again, try to get that inside roll. Any sort of an inside roll would be nice, and he could even almost roll all the way over to the wings, because there's a couple corner guards he could hide behind as well. So this one here looks I don't know, it's starting to move a little bit. No.
Sweepers on and off here.
Yeah,
so
on and off. Is that one starting to dive to the center line? Oh, just
on the guard. Appears to still spill that. Okay, it does spill that one into the rings behind a guard. So
yeah, that's
you never know.
If you're gonna miss, that's always a good miss. If you can spill one of your rocks in behind a guard there, that's that wasn't all bad for sure for Sebastian. So it looks like Ethan is going to try to come behind one of those corner guards there on your left-hand side of the screen. So he's got the hammer. So Ethan's ideally looking at keeping the center open a little bit. By keeping the center open, that leaves Ethan a shot for his last one if need be. This looks like a pretty good shot here. Oh, just squeaked by that corner guard. And Ethan is line 2. That was a really good shot. So
it appears is he going for the hit and roll a little bit?
Yeah, but I'm just watching him kick out of the hack there. It looks like got quite a bit of weight there, so I think he's playing the hit and roll behind. If I was a betting man, oh, that one just didn't curl up enough to stick around. So that's definitely Sebastian doesn't want to take too many chances here because he doesn't have hammer. So Ethan's trying to bury behind the two corner wing guard to put some pressure on Sebastian. So if he makes Kieran manages to get behind that other corner guard there, definitely put some pressure on Sebastian. Boys are kind of backing off this one a little bit. Doesn't look that bad though. I don't think it's going to be behind cover though, so. I think you could actually hit that and roll behind the guard on the wing. I mean, ideally you're still giving Ethan a draw for his single to the center, but that's okay. Wouldn't be bad to force at this point.
And at this point, the way I see it is that if you're looking in the long term of it, if you can force Ethan to a single in end number 5, you'd be able to have, if you go back and forth, hammer in 6, 8, and 10. So.
Oh yeah, no.
Very critical for this end. If you want to force it here.
So let's just get on it. Oh.
Right to the nose.
Right to the nose. Nose is can't seem to get anything. I think you almost got to throw just even a little less than hack, just that it sucks through the rings to get any movement here at all. Ethan's got a big smile on his face coming down the sheet. Great. Always want to keep your sweepers happy, so maybe there's that big smile, puts a big smile on their face, because sweepers, for a lot of these shots, the sweepers are really making the shot. The skip or whoever's throwing the rock is roughly giving them a rough target of where they want it, and then the sweepers are going to kind of on and off it until they put it exactly right. Ethan's trying to get a bit of an outside roll here. Chris is sweeping it. Oh, well, he's off now. Just going to roll out.
The back. So the little note after this end, we will have about 5-minute break for the 5th end break. Most of those teams are just heading to that point in the game.
So looks like Sebastian's trying to do yellow on the blue run back.
And that shows how just simply it's gliding out when he's literally on the inside of the rock and almost taking negative ice in it.
Yeah, no, for sure. This is a fairly short run back, so almost any part of the rock, you should get the one in the rings, I think. This is Sebastian's last rock, so if he was, he can manage to drive that back there. He'll be sitting almost behind cover, and will force Ethan to take a 1. See how this goes. He's coming down the rock, go down the sheet.
Final stone for Sebastian appears to be pretty good?
Nobody's.
Is it gonna?
Ooh.
Ooh,
Just I don't know if he had a little bit too much weight and it drifted out a little bit on him. So that's should be a draw for 2 for Ethan. A little bit of an unfortunate miss there. I've got some young spectators here coming in to watch. I'm going to say roughly 15 and maybe 2 or 3 are in watching, so that's always good. Maybe they're looking for some pointers for when they start curling in a couple of years.
the future champions of the sport.
Could be, never know.
So final stone for Ethan Young with the last rock here in end number 5. Looking for his draw to the 8-foot for his deuce. Sweepers working on it.
See on sheet B as the rock's coming down, it's all tied up between Wiggle and Abraham after 5. And this looks pretty good, I think. Looks like Ethan might get his deuce.
There we go, and it gets to the 4-foot, scores his deuce to lead 5-3 after 5 ends of play, heading into the 5th end break. We'll see you back in just about 5 minutes for the second half of the game. You're watching the 2017 AMJ Campbell Nova Scotia Provincial Curling Championship here on Bell Alliance TV1. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to continuing coverage of the 2018 AMJ Campbell Nova Scotia Provincial Curling Championships here on Bellaline TV1, your leader in local sports web. My name is John Seitman, Chris Mosier alongside for the call of this Team Ethan Young versus Team Sebastian LeFort in junior men's action here this morning. So pretty tight game so far after 5 ends of play. Young scoring a deuce in end number 5 to take the 5-3 lead. Sebastian LeFort will have the hammer in end number 6. So Aiden Kavanaugh just drawing to the back of the 8-foot. The lead for Team LeFort, Aiden McNutt stepping into the hack for his first. Looking for a corner guard, it appears. We've seen so far this game, it's been running pretty straight. Lines as the rocks go down the sheet. This rock will just come into the house. Top of the 8-foot. Still appears to be Team Ethan Young sitting the 1. And Ethan will call for the hit. These teams are playing again for the provincial junior championship and the opportunity to represent Nova Scotia at the 2018 New Holland Canadian Junior Curling Championships at the Arena Mare and the Shawinigan Municipal Curling Center, January 13th to the 21st. Team Nova Scotia will, the winner of this junior men's event will face off against Team Manitoba on the 13th to open up the tournament. As we welcome back Chris Mosier. Chris, a few thoughts as we start the second half of the game on how this game between Ethan Young and Sebastian LeFort has been going so far.
So it's been pretty back and forth so far in the first 5 ends. Ethan's up 2 points, but 2 points isn't a very large lead at this point. So I would think in the second half of the game you're going to see a few more rocks in play. Maybe coaches talk to him a little less weight. See if we can get a little more action off those hits that they've been trying to roll behind the guards. So we'll see how that goes. But definitely some more rocks in play, I think, for this second half. And we'll see how it goes. I was just talking to the executive director of the Nova Scotia Curling Association, Virginia Jackson. She was here checking out our future stars of the sport. So it was nice to talk to Virginia. So
just a quick update as Christopher Churchill steps into the hack. It appears to be another steal on sheet E for Matthew Manuel, and it's a big one. It's steal. So he will take a 7-2 lead over there. That is one of the 2 games that will qualify to play in our feature game at 4 o'clock on sheet D, the A division final, where the winner will qualify for the first spot in the playoffs. Team Young with their stone appears to be heavy, going to the back of the 4-foot, sitting 1-2.
leaves an opportunity for Sebastian to just come right and sit on top of that blue one. If he could lock that on there, it'd be pretty nice. That's another shot I always found hard, was the freeze. It's just so precise. Because ideally, you want to come down and not even bump it, just nestle right in beside it, on top of it. Boys, pretty hard. It's got to be there. That's one of them shots you don't want to be too short on. So Ethan's still sitting 2. That was a little high. So Ethan's going to try to cap that off there and put a guard up there and put a little bit of pressure on Sebastian. If that's the case, I think you're going to see Sebastian try to open up the front a little bit. Sebastian does have the hammer in this end.
And it will be important for him to try to play a little bit hard to try to score. A single or a deuce. As we've seen so far this event, it seems steals have been aplenty in this first 2 draws of play.
Yeah, for sure.
So you don't want to have to rely on steals, but it has been the deciding factor in some of the matchups. Hopefully we'll be able to still see some tight ones with them scoring when they need to score.
Well, that's a pretty good guard there. I think Sebastian's going to have to try to remove something here. Going to be awfully tough to get into that button now. So ideally, he'd like to kind of double the 2 guards off if he can.
Yeah, and that appears to be what Sebastian is calling for. With Brice Couture. Gets the hit, rolls over to the side, still opens up the path, so.
Does definitely open up the path, yeah. So.
It's a tough way to throw, but it does leave a few shots there that they didn't have that guard in where it was.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. So Ethan's just going to try to throw up another guard here. He wants to block that path off. Sebastian can throw, if there was no rock there, he could throw either freeze right to it or even play a hit. And so this is, I think this is Kieran's first rock. On and off is usually a good sign. Oh, looks like it's starting to dive there a little bit. It's looking pretty good, I think. I think that's going to block that path.
They really want to place that perfect because if it had the least bit of an over curl or didn't get to that spot there, it would be a pretty open to the nose to get both of the stones of Ethan Young's out.
Yeah, so I think
forced to peel.
I think you're going to see some big weight on this shot here. He's going to try to move granite here. I think he'd like to get all 3 of them moving if he can.
And it's pretty much lined up that as long as he hits it just right, he could get all 3 moving.
So here it's coming.
Sweeper's working on it hard here. Gets the hit, moves a bunch around.
Yeah, that actually wasn't a bad result. I mean, the yellow one's still guarded, but the shot rock is definitely open. And you're going to see Ethan throw another guard here, and he's going to throw guards right to the end of this end if he can. This is Kieran's last rock, so boys are working pretty hard. They want to keep it. They don't want it to over curl too much. And I think it's gonna do exactly what Ethan asked. No, that was a pretty good shot there. Does leave the opportunity for Sebastian to either come behind or play the double there again. I think this would be the mate's last rock. So at this point, I think I'd try to peel it off and open it up and see where it goes. And if he could get the 2 blue ones off, there. He's going to definitely open it up because he can't guard both rocks. So once, that one seemed to drift out a little bit. So he got the one rock covering the shot stone. So Ethan's going to throw up another guard here. So anything on the right-hand side close to the center line is perfect. Because you want to block off that, you want to path to the button. That's ideally what Sebastian wants to get to. The left-hand side of the sheet is already blocked off pretty good, so. This is Ethan's first here in the sixth end. Ethan's up 5-3. So I'm just looking over there on sheet D. Logan Sweeney is up 4-1 after 6 ends of play, or after 5 ends of play. They're still playing the sixth.
And that was a steal of one for them for Sweeney in that feature game to get to that lead. Dan Hobson has the call over there.
So Sebastian's still going to try another, going to play another hit here. He's going to try to open it up one more time. Sebastian's running out of rocks here, so I don't know if he could get through that hole or not. It's so straight there that I almost wonder if he could with hit weight, but I can't quite see a really good angle on it just yet. There's definitely a rock will go through there. I don't know. I don't think he's trying to go through the hole.
Yeah, the question is, if it did go through the hole, where would it land? I don't think that it would go enough to get toward the rock at the back of the 4. I think you just try to get that, make things a bit interesting.
Well, that wasn't bad. Wasn't bad. Definitely. So Ethan's looking for a little deeper here. I don't know. I think if I was Ethan, I might leave it high again.
I think I would too. Simply just the fact that if you put it too close, it gives the go for the big weight and have a higher chance of making it.
Exactly.
You leave it higher, produces a higher possibility for error, and maybe you could force a steal out of that end here.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with you there. I think maybe a foot more outside the center line, because if not, the only thing I think Sebastian's going to have is either a draw to cut him down or the double tap on the yellow there on the left-hand side. So,
which is extremely challenging given the length.
A pretty tough shot.
So final stone for Ethan Young without hammer here in end number 6. Sweepers haven't really touched it. Oh. Now they're working hard on it. Kavanaugh going hard on that.
That looks a little heavy to me. That might have. That's a little heavy because that does leave a pocket there for Sebastian to come into with his last one.
So definitely well played in from Ethan Young. It really does give the opportunity. He's now pretty much, I don't see much of an opportunity for Sebastian to score his deuce. So as a result, it's a pretty good force to, as long as Sebastian makes it, forces it to a single.
No, for sure. That's no easy there to just even get a single. It is a bit of a pocket, so, but as you've seen here, it hangs so straight that.
Final stone here for Sebastian LeFort with the hammer.
He's got to basically cover the pin. It's got to start to walk over here. It's got to curl a little bit more before it's going to.
McNutt looking at it here.
Make sure it's there, boys.
Make sure it's there.
Ooh, I think that was the sweeping call error there, unfortunately. So that was a steal of 2 for Young in the 6th end. That'll give Sebastian LeFort still with the hammer.
7-3 lead there.
That was a bit of a sweeping error there. They just kind of lost that. I don't know if they were expecting it to glide a little more than it was.
I think they were probably expecting a little bit more of a glide, simply in the fact that earlier in the game you did see a little bit more of that movement.
Yeah.
But now as the pebble's starting to wear down, it's starting to slow up a slight bit, and maybe it fooled them a little bit.
Could have been. Usually after about that, for some reason, teams will take that break at the halfway mark, and the ice will slowly start to change. The pebble breaks down. The temperature might change a little bit. Anyways, we'll see what happens here. So Ethan just threw his to the back of the 4-foot. Mightn't have been exactly where I would have put it. I'm not sure if that was exactly where he was calling for it. But Sebastian's definitely going to throw the corner guard. So he settles in the hack there to throw his first. Here we go.
Important end now for Sebastian to try to manufacture some points. Down 7-3, but with hammer, you really need to push for at least a deuce here. If you can get more, that would be best. But you need this over the hog line there, but you got to work on it.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe the ice is starting to slowly change, because that they didn't really hammer that in the beginning either. Definitely doesn't seem to be sliding maybe as much as they thought. Looks like here on sheet B in the 6th end, Weagle just got one, so I think, what's the score here now? Weagle is up 1 after 6 ends.
That would be a 4-3 lead there.
I got to do my math here. They use the old, or the baseball scoreboards, so you got to do your math. And obviously I must have been out of school too long, because I can't do all my quick math.
And us in this area, these types of scoreboards are a lot different than some of them where, like, some of our viewers may be familiar with the style, similar to the ones at the Mayflower Curling Club, where it is more of a cumulative style.
Yes.
These are more the style that you would probably see at the Scotties Tournament of Hearts and the Tim Hortons Brier, the baseball style. And when you don't have the people putting up the totals at the other end, it can sort of be a bit challenging for the spectators.
Yeah, it's pretty easy in the first couple ends, and you got to work your way across. And when we're looking down here, we're looking at an angle a little bit, so we got to do all the hope that there's nobody standing in front of the scoreboard when we look up at it. Looks like in the 6th end, Manuel stole another one. They're up 8-2 at this point after 6 ends.
I don't even see any movement on that sheet, so that game...
Did they stop?
That game may be complete.
Yeah, I think it is over. I don't see anybody there.
So that appears that game is over. It would be Matthew Manuel taking the spot in our feature game at 4 o'clock in the A qualifying final. Big win for the former Under-21 champion, looking to return to the national championship.
Boys are working on this one pretty hard. Looks like it's going to be all over the guard.
Question is, where does the guard go there? Taps a little bit.
So Ethan doesn't want to have any guards out front at this point. He's got a little bit of a cushion here, and he's gonna want to make sure all those guards go away. It's not doesn't look too bad for Sebastian. He's got two guards up there and a rock in the back of the 8-foot, so he's got something to freeze to and something to hide behind. So. He's throwing the peel here, and I don't know if he got a little wide or just minimal movement, but didn't quite get the result I don't think he was hoping for. But moved to the edge there a little bit. So I don't know if I'd be trying, if I was Sebastian, to roll to the open side. I might be trying to roll over to the edge there behind that corner guard. Does have the hammer.
Yeah, I think right now if I were him as well, I would be trying to get behind that guard, because if you're able to force a little bit of the issue and maybe manufacture a few extra points, it could get you right back in the game.
Oh, yeah, no.
You need at least a 2 here. So getting behind that guard would really be a big help right now.
No, just... Ethan's asking for a little less weight. So he's trying to get movement. He wants to get behind that corner guard, or corner center-ish guard. It's not right in the center line, but
McIntosh with his first here.
that one just over curled a little bit. So that's 2 for Ethan that over curled there in that spot. Definitely Sebastian wants to try to get behind that corner guard. Not overly concerned about that one in the back of the 4-foot right now, because he's got last rock and he can always remove it. But if he could get something buried behind one of those corner guards there on the left-hand side of your screen going down, that'd be great. So he's called them on right away, so I'm assuming that was for the line. Oh, they're off now. On, off, on, off. On, off is usually a good sign.
Could also be trying to get a little bit of a tap to get both stones in.
Okay, so
we'll move it over there.
Yeah, I guess it just over curl again on him. It's curl once you come off the center line. So for the most of these hits that they've been trying, they're always playing the straight handle, but they could change it and try to come coming off the center line, which will give it a little bit of movement. So they're hollering here pretty hard. This one's definitely curling, but I think he's going to hold the shooter. Sebastian just wants to remove this. I'd like to roll to the wing if I was him. I'm not sure if that's his called shot or not.
I would too. If you simply get a little bit of that roll, maybe to, I would say, best case scenario, to the 8-foot. That would really put some pressure on Team Young. And still gets to the nose again.
Can't buy a roll here.
Well, you can buy a roll. We're probably just in the kitchen.
Yeah. Ethan's throwing his first here. He's tapped and he wants to roll over there behind those yellow rocks on the left-hand side.
And honestly, I think right now at this point, Ethan, even if he did drop a 2, he'd be fine with it, because 7-5 with hammer.
Oh, no.
That would be a really good scenario.
No, for sure. Ethan's sitting in a pretty good spot right now where he'd like to be. Definitely up 4 points, just past the halfway part of the game. So, but as you saw there in the first, 3-0, and then they got a 3-ender on him. So it's not over till it's over. That's for sure.
Still lots of curling left.
Yeah.
Sweepers not really touching this one.
This one.
Gets the hit.
Oh.
Working on it and out the other side. So
That'll leave Sebastian a draw to come in behind one of those guards here. Even behind his rock in the rings. I think that's what he's called for.
it's a bit because it looked like that's what. Okay, there he appears to be gesturing toward that side.
Is he?
I saw him pointing almost as if he was going to split the house and go the other side.
Well, so that's a tough call too, because if you get him too close, then you're going to leave Ethan the opportunity for a double there, right? So
yeah, for sure.
No, it does look like he's going to the other side.
He is going to the other side.
Okay, so we didn't see where he had tapped it originally.
I think he tapped just around the edge of the 8-foot, if I saw it right.
So yeah, by putting in the two rocks on the same side, the problem with that was that if he got him too close, then it gave Ethan the opportunity for a double. But he's trying to split the rings, which he has very nicely here. There is a double there, I guess. It's not super easy.
And honestly, at this point, they don't need to really try to go for that type of a double. I don't think. And you're up 7-3, and even if you drop points this end, you're still up with hammer, and would have hammer in 8 and 10 if we go the whole way. So no need to really force the issue. Just play the hit, play the roll. I guess that's just how I would see it. Just play it simple.
Definitely just want to make contact at this point with the rock, and try not to give up a 3 here. You definitely wouldn't want to flash it.
I don't know if we've updated the game on sheet D, as well as we see Ethan Young's last. Another steal over there for Sweeney to lead 5-1 over Justin Gray of the Mayflower.
So Ethan got the shot rock and just rolled out of the ring, so that leaves Sebastian a draw to anywhere in the rings for a deuce. So Sebastian comes down to get set to throw his final rock of the 7th end. So boys started on a little bit, now they're off.
It seems to be gliding again.
It does a little bit, yeah.
Just dusting it in.
I think it's going to stick around there.
There you go.
I can seem to come down awfully quick, but it's a good draw. So that'll bring the score to 7-5 for Ethan Young after 7 ends of play, and Ethan will have the hammer going into the 8th end. And that definitely was a final over there on sheet E. There's no one around over there, so Matthew Emanuel had won that game over Sokolic.
So he will face the winner of the Abraham Weigel game on sheet B, and that will be our feature game at 4 o'clock on sheet D, and I will have the call for you on that one at 4 o'clock.
As LeFort starts out their first rock of the eighth end. We think here he's definitely wants to play this out front. Anything over the hog line's a good start. He wants to get up a couple center guards here, hopefully, and then start to come behind. And definitely wants to steal here. First wouldn't be horrible, but steal obviously would be nicer. So that was a good shot. About halfway between the hog line and the top of the rings. Ethan's tapping the. I think he's tapping the. So just tapping in front of the 4 foot, just in front of the rings there, or sorry, in front of the button somewheres. This is Aiden's second shot.
Sweeper's appearing to call that is heavy.
Only thing you wouldn't want to do here is go to the back, I think, back of the rings, because then that would give Sebastian something to freeze to.
And it does settle at the back of the 12. Team Young sitting 1 here. Sebastian's going to call to come around that guard.
I might have threw up another guard. Did he tap in the rings?
It appeared to look like it.
I think I might have threw up another guard here at this point. That seems a little hot too, watching it coming down the sheet here.
Coming down now, so we'll see how far it goes.
Right on the pin. It's a perfect draw away to the pin. It's I think it's pretty much wide open. Oh yeah, that's wide open. Ethan here is probably going to want to hit, and I think he wouldn't be opposed to either rolling right out of play or just behind the guard here. Now you don't want to get on the outside of this, because if you got on the outside and he drives it back, the blue one at the back of the rings, that wouldn't be all so good. But boys seem to be working on this one pretty hard. That one's got a little bit of movement.
Gets the hit, rolls. They're just to the edge of the 12. Sits 1-2.
Sebastian's looking to go behind again. So the problem when you're up and you got rocks behind the tee line there is, Sebastian keeps putting rocks in play, and at some point you're going to get you may get a jam on your own rock back there. So it could be problematic. We'll see how it goes. So I think they just finished B. I'm not sure what happened there. Oh, looks like Abraham got 1, so we're all tied up after 7. Boys are working pretty hard on that one that Team LeFort just threw. I think it looks like
and buried.
Buried. That was a nice draw there. So Ethan's not going to waste anything. He's going to rip that guard.
Also, a quick update about the feature game on sheet D. Justin Gray from the Mayflower scores his single, still trails 5-2. Team Sweeney will have hammer in end number 8. Dan Hobson has the call over there in our other feature game. Gets the hit, rolls it out there, opens it up. Appears that timeout has been called by Team Sebastian LeFort, so that will bring the coaches for Team LeFort and Team Young to ice level. Team LeFort's coach, Yvonne LeFort, and Young's coach Brian McIntosh.
So each team gets 2 90-second timeouts. And there's an official that is out there wandering around the sheet. And once the team or the coaches go out through the doors, he'll start the clock ticking, and we'll let them know when their 90 seconds are up. So for all these games, we've got lots of volunteers, and we've got timers upstairs. We've got timers upstairs, and we've got lots of volunteers here running the whole event. So it's always nice, and thanks to all the volunteers that make these events happen here. So
especially during the holiday season, it's great to see a supportive group out supporting junior curling here. So tough position here for Sebastian. He really needs to manufacture a steal at least in this end.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I guess what I'd be doing is be throwing up another guard here. I think you got a guard, and just keep throwing the guards, and at this point, and hope for a miss ideally, and then because you're sitting shot stone, so by throwing the guards, it doesn't look like that might be the call. Oh no, maybe it is.
Timeout expired there, so the clock is back ticking for Sebastian.
So just wait for him to settle in the hack there to throw a shot. Should be a nice center guard, or not really a center guard, just blocking the rock that's in the rings, the yellow one. There we go. And the rock's a little bit of discussion happening there. The boys are starting to sweep it a little bit. Seems like it's going to have to curl quite a bit there. It almost looks like it's out a little bit. I don't know.
Were they going for the freeze at the back of the 8?
I'm wondering that too. Interesting call there for sure.
Still appeared to be heavy either way.
It was definitely heavy, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. To me, the guard was the call. Looking here, there's a little on the floor beside me, and he's trying to steal the snack jar from one of the coaches here. Must have saw the cheese. So Ethan Young isn't going to waste no time here. He's going to rip that blue one off there, and then he should be sitting 3. But I don't think he'd even be opposed to rolling away here.
Yeah, appears to be.
Oh.
That was interesting. Interesting result there.
Yeah, I think he might have set it out just a smidge, and it just didn't get the movement he was hoping for. Still a little surprised that they're trying to go back there. He tapped again back to the back to, I think I'd be still trying to throw the guard.
Yeah, same here. Just simply the fact that you have such a good rock there, being able to protect it a little bit would be great.
Yeah, and he almost actually promoted it a little bit, so it's in an even better spot now, right? So I guess what I'm trying to think what his logic is, but I guess if he makes a good freeze here, he'll out-count those 3 rocks, and I guess maybe he's trying to force Ethan Young to take in the 1, which it's not the wrong strategy, and that's the great thing about curling. There's no necessarily right and wrong. Every coach, every player has a slightly different strategy. Some teams like to play defensive, some are offensive. So it's great that way. And if was made 100% all the time, this sport would be quite easy. But when you're throwing a piece of granite that weighs 40 pounds down the length of the sheet on a piece of ice that's not completely level all the time, it makes it quite challenging, and that's what's great. It's hard to tell who is shot rock there. It might be blue.
Appears to me like it is the blue of Team Ethan Young. So they're gonna have to be careful where they roll, just so that it doesn't get a position where it could be easy to get both of the stones of Team LeFort's out.
Yeah, for sure. Boys are going on this one pretty hard, starting to move to the center line. Got to hold this. Ooh, that actually worked out really good.
Yeah, definitely a really good position there.
It's a really hard double. I'm going to say it's pretty much impossible. So Ethan's going to try to play the top yellow on the left-hand side there and roll across over on top of the blue. Won't be right on top of it, but just kind of guarding it. So you can see as you come off the center line, there's a little more movement there, and he's trying to straighten that out.
Oh, what a shot.
That was a beautiful shot.
What a shot. Right through the hole and sits four.
Yeah, that was a beautiful shot. I wasn't 100% certain that was going to happen there. I didn't think he could get the double hole, but he proved me wrong there. He must have heard my commentating.
You see, I was worried there that the way that it went, I thought it was lined up to that it would land on the third stone to the right.
Yeah,
right
I didn't think he was going to get.
I
didn't think he'd get through the hole. That was a beautiful shot.
And that really puts it into crunch time for Sebastian LeFort. There's a few options there, depending on which turn he's going, that he could remove a few, but it really is a challenge.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think he's trying to play the freeze, I think. I'm not.
It's really deceiving because with how tight the ice has been, he could be playing a triple for all we know.
Yeah, for sure. It's so hard because, see, outside in, it's not going to move. So to me, he's got to be playing the freeze.
And that appears to be what he is throwing.
Gave a little push at the end there. I don't know. It's tough at this point. Looking to bail a little bit. I think you could easily get a double there. You definitely don't want to give up any more than 2 this end. But if he can lock this on here.
Sweeper's working hard on this one. Coming down to it.
I don't think he's going to get shot rock.
Sitting second.
He could still pick that out. And I think he could even hold the shooter there.
It is a challenge because, honestly, if I were Team Young, really, you could play to just come up to that, almost play a similar shot, and then really you're sitting 1, maybe 2. Or you could just completely ignore the fact that you have the stone right behind that of Sebastian's and just try to rip it. And you could still, really, there's not much risk.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, so junior curling can sometimes be challenging because I've been out of juniors for a few years, we'll say. That's probably a modest statement. But I know watching my sons curl that it's quick to look at, and all you're looking at is look at all the blue, look at all the blue. So if I remove that one, there's even more blue. So that's it's easy to get sucked down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, you really have to be able to think a little bit further than just here's how many of your own are in.
Boys are,
well, they are playing that, trying to get to the corner here. Oh, will come to rest there, sitting 1-2.
what would you do here, John?
I suppose for this one, you really have to get a roll, at least split the house a little bit, maybe get to the 8, force him to draw the 4. That's probably the best call right now, simply in just the fact that you get anywhere close to that one there of your own, that he could just go to try to rip it.
Yeah, I think he's playing the hit. I'm pretty, based on where he's got the broom, and sometimes it's hard because we can't always hear what they're talking about here.
Yeah, hit and roll, that's probably.
Yeah, so, well, he gave that a good push. So that's definitely more than draw weight. So I think he's trying to make a hit.
Question is, how far out is he there?
No. Worsing does not want to hit his own first.
Ooh.
Well,
still,
I think he shot rock, is he?
He does appear to be just a hair enough just to get it there.
Yeah, so
the question is, and I know that this is a risky shot, but you could kind of play it tight. And
well, see, now from that angle it looks like it's blue, but I don't know.
Yeah, there was a angle there for our viewers to see a little bit closer.
I was watching the game last night at home a little bit. I guess that was the 8 p.m. girls game last night, and I was just amazed at the clarity and how well the game was streamed. Bell TV1 is doing a great job. The quality that they're putting out is amazing, and how it's improved so much in the last couple years.
And we definitely thank the crew from 45 North and Bellline TV1, our producer Sean, and his colleague Chuck on the other game, producing some great broadcast curling here for you, our viewers, to watch.
This is Ethan's last rock here.
Working hard on it.
Yeah.
It's pretty lined up here.
What happened?
What?
Did he burn it?
He may have burnt it.
Oh.
Appears to be and Ethan's holding his head a little bit annoyed at that. That may be a one steal for Sebastian. We don't know. We'll see what comes up once they put it up, but it looks to me like that could be a steal of 1 for Sebastian.
I think it was.
Appears it was, because Aiden McNutt is in the hack.
Yeah.
So 7-6 lead for Ethan Young after 8, and that will mean that Young will have the hammer in end number 9. Shocking turn of events here in the 8th.
A little bit, yeah. I didn't see how he clipped it, but he was sweeping pretty hard, and he must have just brushed it. And again, I mean, it's another thing I love about this sport is, he burned the rock, and how quick was he to, I burned it, and they pulled it off right away. So that was awesome that they did that. Saying other sports don't have that gentleman rule, but it's great in curling that we do that. And so Sebastian's just throwing the center guard here, which is I would say the right call here. My guess is with Ethan, he's going to play a little tick because he.
So I guess Chris, now with the fact that now you have a steal and now it's within 1. Does that change the strategy a little bit more for Sebastian now that he is within 1 point of tying up this game?
Well, I think it, because Sebastian's the question now is, what does Sebastian want to do? Does he want to force Ethan to 1 here and then be down 1 coming home with hammer? Or down 2 coming home with hammer, or does he want to steal this end? And so I guess we will we'll see. Ethan tried to play the tick, didn't work out quite so well. He just kind of buzzed it through. So Sebastian, I'm not sure if he called for another guard.
Appears to be calling for about I think it sounded like it was like a 3, which is just above the 12-foot.
Okay.
Just
so
outside the rings.
Just a tight guard.
A little bit heavier, so it could be into the rings.
Yeah, that seems a little heavier. It's definitely going to be in the rings. It's a pretty good shot there. It's actually, no, that's not bad at all, really. So we'll take that. I think they just finished another end here on sheet B. It looks like a blank. So Team Wiggle will remain with the hammer going into the 9th end. As we get ready here for their Aiden's second shot. Is he playing another tick? Looks like a tick to me, maybe, or is he playing the one in the rings?
I think he's playing the one in the rings here. Just try to open up the space. Oh,
we got a piece.
Question is, how far will that roll? Will that roll out? It just rolls out. Just that little bit.
Yeah. No, that was.
But sometimes I find at the back like that, though you may think it's almost out of play, it still could play a factor if maybe some freezing comes into account.
Yep. No, for sure. Boys are working on this one. I think they're going to try to suck another one behind here. I wouldn't be completely opposed to coming up a little short here. Don't want to set them up that they're double opportunity. Move that in there. That's a pretty good shot right there. I'll tell you, that seemed to carve nicely. See here when we get a different camera angle. Yeah, that's buried pretty nice. At this point, Ethan can play the peel, so he's gonna, no question, gonna rip off that center guard. So that center guard's quickly going to disappear, and you're going to see Sebastian throw up another one.
Yeah, definitely important to get that right spot for that guard.
There we go for another guard. That's a shot I'm not always a big fan of, is trying to throw the same shot twice. I find that's a tough shot. You'd think it'd be fairly easy, but I don't know. Ooh, that one looks like it's coming up short. So that definitely going to change the end a little bit, because Ethan's not going to waste any time now. He's going to make that rock go away.
Quick update as Chris Churchill gets into the hack on our feature sheet. A steal of 1 in end number 8 for Team Justin Gray out of the Mayflower against Logan Sweeney. Still now 5-3 over there on our other feature game with Dan Hobson. Gray staging a comeback. He had a tough time yesterday, but looks like he's recovering.
He's slowly coming back. I know it ends, but it's 2-point game. Anything could happen here. So Sebastian doing here? Is he playing the hit, or looks like it?
Yeah, looks like he's playing the hit here.
Yeah, it's sliding down the sheet.
Gets the hit, rolls out.
So Ethan's going to go to the wings. Ethan like to get a deuce here. That would put him up 3 points coming home. And I think LeFort would either like to force or steal. Unfortunately, we don't have any rocks there to steal, so we're almost looking for a miss at this point. But we'll see what happens. It's a nice close-up of the rock there. The ice is a little bumpy. I don't know if bumpy is the right word, but it's pebbled, so they use like a tank on your back, and they pebble the ice, which makes the little bumps on the ice, unlike hockey ice that's completely smooth, and that's what the rock rides on going down the ice. And it comes off, it bites into that pebble and will make it go sideways. So that was just a little warm, that rock they were trying to slick out in the side of the 12-foot, and it just slid through the back of the rings. So at this point, we're going to try to throw up another center guard. Everybody's just watching this one coming down. It's going to be a pretty tight center guard. It might even be right in the rings. 8 foot maybe? Maybe even a little deeper?
Probably into the 4 here. There, just about fully into the 4 foot. Yeah. So sit shot stone. So as we've been saying there, the winner of this event will go on to represent Nova Scotia at the Canadian Junior Curling Championships in Shawinigan, Quebec, this January, starting on January 13th. So I was doing some research, and let's see, Chris, if you know your curling history, how many times do you think Nova Scotia has won the Junior National Championship, both men's and women's?
Well, geez, thanks for putting me on the spot here. If there was a bus, I'd jump in front of it. But I can tell you that Mary Fay won the girls last time. And I'm not sure who won it before that. On the boys' side, I know that my brother-in-law won back in the 90s. And from there, I'm in trouble.
The answer is 5. Nova Scotia's won 4 junior women's titles, as you said, Mary Fay, and one of the other recent ones was Jill Mauser, now Jill Brothers.
Yes, right, Jill.
And then there were 2 in the early 80s, and then the other one in 1993 with the Sean Adams ring. So 5 titles, 4 junior women's and 1 junior men's.
So I was close. I was in the ballpark.
Yeah, you had the majority of them.
My son was trying to get me to play Canadian trivia the other night, and I know why I didn't play now. So ironically, as you say that Sean had won it once, he's standing right behind me with his 2 young kids that are cutting around here. Trying to get his kids into the game a little bit more so he can be coaching them in a few years. So we're up to Skips Rocks already in this end. It's been pretty much wide open.
So Ethan Young here looking for the hit. Sweepers started on it, but just dusting it in now. Gets the hit. Rolls out the side there.
Yeah. So where's Sebastian going to put it here? He's really love to see Ethan forced to 1 here at this point. So it looks like he's going to try to sit back there by that yellow one that's definitely out of the rings, but somehow set it up that possibly he could jam on it if Ethan plays it. And I believe you mentioned that earlier about that rock being out of the rings but still in play, and that rock may come into play here at some point.
And I think that's probably what he's going for, simply in the fact that if you do get some movement the wrong way, you could still have the Yellowstone stay in the rings and manufacture a steel that maybe some people may think came out of nowhere, but it would be a well-played steel.
See how this works. It looks a little hot.
A little bit of a tap there.
So that yellow rock did. Okay, so it was a little hot, but it tapped that one and stuck around. So definitely makes Ethan want to make his last shot. So Ethan's probably going to want to roll out here, is my guess.
Yeah, it appears based on the line he is going for the blank.
Yeah, obviously he wants to hit it, and anything after that's a bonus.
So final stone here for Ethan Young out of the Mayflower Curling Club. In end number 9, he has the hammer. Looking for the blank here. Churchill sweeping hard for it.
So see how it can't quite get an angle on it here until we get a little closer, but it almost looks like it
gets the hit, rolls out the side, blanks the end, as it will be currently 7-6 for Ethan Young. Young retains the hammer in the 10th and final end of play. Of course, I say final, but you never know. He could see a steal here. You never know.
Very well. If Sebastian can tie it up here in the 10th end, we'll be going to an extra end. Just looking at the time clocks here, I don't see any big issues. We've got 5:54 and 8:55, so plenty of time to play the last end here. No issues there. So Sebastian's going to want to throw up definitely a center guard here. I'd be maybe a little more prone to throw up two if I could. He wants something to hide behind here all day.
And also there is the benefit time-wise for Team Young that they still have both of their timeouts available if that were to come into a factor. But being that there's still about 6 minutes left on the clock for them, no,
for sure. So that's a little deep. Ethan's going to take that out. Ethan really doesn't want any rocks in play at this point. He's going to want to peel it out because anything that's in play is something that Sebastian could freeze to. So we'll see how this goes. On off is always a good sign. And he will roll it over a little bit to the wings. That's still pretty much in the 8 foot. Sebastian is going to throw up another center guard or try to get a center guard here.
So we'll see Aiden McNutt here for Team LeFort trying to get that center guard. Couture and McKenzie work.
This one is looking a little bit better. Should be just short. Perfect.
Just comes to the center line there.
Ethan's going to play the tick here. Oh, switch handles on him. Just trying to push it over a little bit. Just trying to play the tick. They these guys, of any of the junior teams, they seem to play the tick shot the most of anybody. And it's a tough call. But they're actually not bad at it. So that pushes theirs in play. So Sebastian's going to throw up another corner or another center guard. Probably going to see him throw up center guards here right up to the end. So boys are working this one pretty good. Definitely want to make sure it's over the hog line. Don't want anything just short. Anything over is good.
So Sweeper's got that there to a center guard.
Yeah, that was a good shot.
Good result.
So at this point, Ethan can play the peel. He's going to rip it off. What happened there on sheet B?
Sheet B, it appears to be a single point for Team Weagle. So that should be 1, 2, 3, 5 to 4 for Team Weagle playing the final end. And Team Abraham will have the last rock in end number 10.
Another
big game there.
Yeah, no, that's a tight one. That's a burner. Actually, well, so is our feature game. So
the winner of that game will face off in our feature game at 4 o'clock on sheet D, the boys A qualifying final.
So Sebastian is trying to come in behind that one there now, and behind that.
Sweeper's working hard on this.
Yeah,
gotta go.
I don't think it's gonna. Is it gonna get by? I can't tell. The only thing bad about curling is the players always stand in the worst spot. Ooh, that was a beautiful
working hard
getting
on
by.
it. Still needs to get a little bit more as far as he can go. There you go.
You know, that's pretty good though. I mean, I think he rings, but I kind of like the double guard there. So you got two guards, and you got a rock there on the edge of the forefoot. You could hit and roll him behind, or draw him behind, or angle freeze to it. It's all good for Sebastian here to get his one. The team's coming down to have a little chat now with Ethan. They're looking at what they should do here. To me, I think there's only one call, and I think it has to be a peel.
And it does appear to be a timeout called by Team Young.
Oh, is there?
As I do see Brian McIntosh headed to ice level and Yvonne LeFort.
Yeah, I think the only call here to me is that you got to peel. I think at this point.
Yeah, you have to get that out. Simply, there's too much possibility for Team LeFort to get something behind those. You got to get those removed.
Yeah,
simply.
I'm with you on that. And actually, did Justin Gray just steal another one there in the ninth? I think they did.
Yes, they did. There you go. So 5-4 for Team Sweeney over Team Gray. Team Gray making a comeback.
They are. Yeah. So
that is impressive.
Our 3 games that are remaining here, they're all within 1 point of one another. So that's always good viewing. A little stressful on the parents and the coaches for sure. But
always the most stressful for the people in the class.
Yeah. Oh yeah. As a spectator though, with no ties to anybody, it's great.
I still remember the one time I ever coached, and I don't think I'll ever want to coach as much, simply in the fact that I was more nervous than I ever was playing.
Oh, it's hard to be a coach. It's no every shot you're hoping for the best.
But when in doubt, the ones on the other side, this side of the glass, are always curling 100%.
Oh, everybody behind the glass curls 100% all the time. So I'm a little surprised at this shot, I think. Is he trying to come in behind there?
That seems interesting. It does look like that's what he'd be doing there. Looks like it. Yeah, it does look like a draw there. So that is risky because of the fact that it does open the possibility, depending on where it lands, that you could see a double or a hit and roll.
Double. If it's a little heavy, you freeze on top of it.
It does look relatively heavy there, just enough to. Sits 1-2.
Sitting 1-2. I mean, I don't know. You've got the draw in there on the left-hand side. You can freeze in. You've got a little wicky-ticky that you could do.
It looks like he's calling for the hit and roll at least. If he's able to get to the left, to the on this angle here, the right side, and just get a roll behind, you could get both of the Blues moving and get behind cover as well, which would probably force a peel out of Team Young to open up toward the forefoot and the button. A little bit of intensity over there on the rink beside us there. Jake Fleming was going for a big run back.
So what's is he going to get? I think he did.
That was interesting.
That might have rolled a little bit too far. Or did it? I can't.
It does appear to me like it is open. So
yeah, it looks pretty much wide open. So as I think we mentioned before, we're not right directly behind the sheet, so we're a little off here. So it's sometimes hard where the rock is in relation. But definitely don't want to be outside here. If you got outside and pushed it into that blue pocket. The boys are hammering this. It seems to be taking off on them.
They're working hard on this. It looks like it will nudge on that one. So now this is a big opportunity here for Team Sebastian LeFort. So you pretty much have to try to get a guard there as best as they possibly can. They protect your stone at the top of the forefoot. If you get that guard placed perfectly, it's going to place so much pressure on Team Young.
Oh, for sure.
And hey, could manufacture a steal.
It very well could. It could be a key shot in this game here if he manages to put up a perfect guard here. So they're on it pretty quick. And it doesn't really even matter how close it is to the rings. Anything over will definitely... and I'm looking for the hog line. Where is it? Oh, no, that's over. Lots of room.
Signaling for just a 1, so just over and off.
So...
looks like it will.
That's a pretty good shot. So what does that leave Ethan? Again, I think we should have been peeling the guards earlier in the end, and I think
for sure
we're in a bit of a pickle here, unfortunately. Now, I don't know if he can get to. It's hard to draw in there, right? So I was looking to see if he could get some kind of in off the blue ones on the left-hand side there.
The only, the only way that I could see as much of an in off is if the blue stone on the far right was about half a rock back, and then maybe you could go almost like, so to speak, around the horn almost, and just get a little bit of a jump up. Or he could be going gutsy and going for the triple peel.
So this shot here, he's definitely going for trying to open something up here. So we'll see what happens.
That was an interesting result.
That was. So
the question is, whose shot?
Oh, yeah, that's a toughie. I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm watching to see if they tap whose shot. Obviously, based on, see that angle, it looks like it's blue all day. the overhead seems to make it a little closer than that. I think maybe blue, maybe.
You see, the thing that maybe if they're a little bit unsure, the shot could be playing a slight, almost like a draw to that rock, just enough to, if you move that blue one a hair, it looks like timeout has been called by Sebastian LeFort. If you move that one the least bit of a hair, you have one resting on there and could try almost hit two depending on where it lands.
Could, yeah.
It's a tough shot.
It is. I'd have to look at where the guards are placed again. I wouldn't be opposed maybe to even coming in the other side to draw in there. Can they get in through that side?
It's a bit difficult because of the high guard there of
that side's almost
LeFort.
Blocked right off. I don't know about the other side of the sheet. Well, jeez. Well, I think you could still get shot there. Or if you come down the right-hand side there, you could get shot out of it. And
that I could see as an issue with that side is simply the fact that they haven't played that side for a while. So it could be a little bit. It could fool them a little bit with the fact that it's probably slowed down a little bit.
Very well could be. It looks like they're going after that. So, I mean, I don't think you can do a lot of damage here. So any sort of looks like they're going to play like a tap. If they can get to the inside, tap on the yellow one, and then that'll push back the blue one. And if they could get to the inside roll there, they could be sitting two out of it. But I guess we're going to see here.
I guess the big case is simply if that stone of Team Ethan Young's at the back of the 4-foot, if that is the shot stone,
yeah,
they're going to have to play just to get that stone to move a slight little bit. If they're shot, it makes it a little bit more protected, as they could free. It could almost be like a freeze-ish tap, so to speak. Big shot here for Sebastian.
Yeah, no, not a lot of weight there.
Sweeper's working hard on it.
They are working very hard on it. That almost seems light to me. Oh, I think that's on the guard.
That is on the guard.
So,
But the question is now, does that open up the path at that? There's really, I don't think that yellow is going much of anywhere, honestly. There's not much of a way really to get that out, just based on where the guards are placed. You're jamming on something, so you really have to try to focus on probably getting around that. I don't think there's really a way to rip to get that out, or to even play even firm onto it.
So what was the final decision here? Where are they going to... They're taking another timeout. There's timeouts all over the sheets here. B just had a timeout. They're getting down to the last 4 rocks, I think.
Yeah, they're on the skip stones.
Yeah, and it looks like they're on skip stones on D as well. So we'll see what happens here. We could go into 3 extra ends, or maybe no extra ends.
And it could be interesting over there with the feature game on sheet D, because I do see Justin Gray is sitting 2 again.
Oh, is he?
He's really putting pressure on Team Sweeney after back-to-back steals.
So it looks like Young is tapping the 4-foot, so cold draw maybe? I think it's a cold draw for Young. I need somebody that's an expert on who.
We need like the telestrator, like in the TSN stuff, where we could probably like put like some rings and everything to.
That'll be in next year's budget.
Note NSCA if you're listening there to the wish list.
The wish list, yeah. We need a telestrator. You can draw happy faces. So here we go. This is Ethan's first.
Sweeper's working on that, and Ethan's watching pretty closely at that. Working hard, trying to get it by just perfect. We'll get by the first, get by the second.
Good shot.
Question is where will it land? It's going through.
Ooh. Just a little heavy.
So it pretty much does open. Sebastian pretty much has to go for that tap again. You put the tap again. You just have it in the mind of Ethan of having to almost throw the exact same spot where you just threw heavy.
Yep, for sure.
Or throw the side that you haven't been throwing for a while.
Well, yeah, exactly. So it looks like he's playing the same shot he just played. There's a lot of discussion here now.
And they have all the time in the world for that right now. They have 5:07 left on the clock.
Oh, yeah, tons of time.
I always jokingly say you could probably go to the washroom and still get back, and you'd probably have the time still left on the clock. So final stone for Team Sebastian LeFort without hammer. Big shot here. McNutt and Couture working on it. They need this tap.
I think it's going to move a little, but they're starting to sweep it.
Couture sweeping it to try to get it over.
Will
it be enough?
There. I think it's on the guard. Oh.
I think it is on the guard. There you go.
So, are they... So it looks like he's going to make a play on it, so I'm thinking...
Maybe he's not as confident that his is there.
So it is...
It's tough to tell, honestly.
I think my gut says yellow. It is hard to tell. And there's probably lots of people that are watching us saying, oh, it's whatever color by a mile. Can't you guys see that? But I don't know.
Again, it's always tough to tell because it's just simply the right camera angle, and just even then, it can fool anybody to see just the right angle of rock.
Yeah.
So final stone here in end number 10 for Ethan Young out of the Mayflower Curling Club. He has a 1-point lead with the hammer. Sweeper hard on this one. They're trying to drag it.
This one seems out a little bit too. So
it just stopped there.
So now it looks like they're calling the timeout because they're going to want to measure here.
So umpire, I believe, has been called. So high stakes here, I guess. If that rock is if the shot rock belongs to Ethan Young, it would be the game. If it belongs to Sebastian LeFort, it would be one more.
Yeah. The looks like Sweeney just got one there, so they won their game over Justin Gray.
Okay, so now that's the first time I've seen that technology used during of the laser measure.
Yeah, they just got those this year, a little more accurate. And I think they probably belong to the umpires or the NSCA. And a moment of truth here. Switch one. Move one of them, boys.
They're not shaking hands.
No,
so
it's yellow.
It appears to be yellow. So there you go. Another steal. We're going one more, ladies and gentlemen. As it is now 7-7 after 10. So Ethan Young, the Mayflower, will have the last rock in the extra end. They look like they're getting into the hack. I don't remember. I believe they do have a short break in between.
Yes, they do. They do have a short break. And it looks like on sheet B, they're going to an extra end as well.
So really high stakes curling bright and early here on a Thursday morning.
Is it Thursday? I'm kind of messed up this week. I've been off for a few days, and I'm messed up on the timing. So they just have a short break here. I don't think they put the clock up. They reset the time clocks, and each team will get one timeout. So the time clocks are each team will get 4 minutes and 30 seconds. I think the coaches went out to have a little chat with their players.
Yeah, it appears that they have. So it's going to be very important now for Team LeFort to put the pressure on early. They're coming in with confidence that they've now stolen 2 back-to-back, like 2 of the last 3 ends.
Yeah.
They just have to keep going with the aggressive style play that they've been going. Team Young, their biggest thing is just simply giving their skipper the confidence and the simple shot results that they need to make the big final score and score that single.
Yeah, if you're somebody who goes with the momentum is definitely slowly switching to the LeFort team.
It does appear that we do have a final in our other feature game on sheet D. Logan Sweeney did score a single point in end number 10 to defeat Justin Gray. So Sweeney advances on to face Stefano Sokolic from the Mayflower. And that will send Justin Gray down, and he will face the loser of a game yet to. It would be the winner of this game versus the loser of the Abraham Weigel game, who would face Justin in the C division. So still a lot yet to be determined. It is a very long week here at the Lakeshore Curling Club.
If you're just tuning in, the next draw will be on at 12 o'clock, which will be the women's draw. You're watching the AMJ Campbell Nova Scotia Provincial Curling Championships for 2018, hosted at the Lakeshore Curling Club and being streamed by TV1. And we're just going into an extra end on our game, and they're just starting the first rock now. And Ethan Young will have the hammer in the extra end. And Team LeFort, I would suspect, is going to throw up 7 center guards and either hope for a miss or come in behind at some point.
And a quick note to our viewers, for the remainder of the day, there will be one feature game for the remainder of the day. Our next feature game will be on sheet D at 12 o'clock, and it will be Stephanie Carson out of the Windsor Curling Club. I'm so used to her being out of Dartmouth, but this one, her team curls out of Windsor. They'll be playing against Caitlin Jones and her team out of the Halifax Curling Club. And at 4 o'clock will be also on sheet D for the junior men's A final, before returning back here at 8 o'clock for the junior women's A final. So lots of action for our viewers here on Bell TV1.
So that was a pretty high guard he just threw, and Ethan played the tick.
Yeah, he definitely seems to play that tick a lot, so he will go out to the side.
I don't know. I find the tick a very, very challenging shot. I'll be honest, I'm not a huge fan of it, not at this level. I would more rather see the teams come in and stick one on the forefoot, because it's really all about the pressure on the other team, and that's my belief. I'm sure there's lots of other opinions out there, and lots of people that would disagree with me, but
I've always found it very challenging. Simply, to me, since of course, I say this being that I wasn't too good at playing the take shot myself, that I liked more setting up a good guard and then being able to set up a good shot around. Again, I admire somebody who can make a few good take shots.
No, if you can
that's
make
really
it,
good.
yeah, it's so I do find this kind of a little odd. They were, Ethan was tapping to go to the wing, and then Ethan was tapping to go to the wing, and then the team asked him to play the tick shot, so they just changed it around a little bit there. So that tick shot didn't quite get the tick he was hoping for. So it looks like Sebastian's going to call another guard, which is probably the right shot. That's what I'd be doing. You want to get as many guards up there as I can.
So LeFort setting up another guard here, just across the center line and across the hog line. Again, keeping with the game plan, like you said, of setting up some good guards. I was about to say it was starting to get a little bit cold in here in the clubhouse area.
I was thinking that too.
It was as cold as it was if we were in the ice shed.
Yeah, I just had the door open to the outside here, and the funny thing is I think I just saw the ice maker go out, so I'm sure he's going to be beating on the door any time now because somebody just shut it, wanting back in.
Yeah, some of our viewers from other provinces may have heard it's a little bit cold here in Nova Scotia today, minus 15, I believe, when I got here this morning.
Yeah, it's a little brisk. So fortunately, we're getting a lot of rocks out in front of the rings. They're trying to slowly get them off the center, but it's better for Sebastian LeFort at this point than it is for Ethan Young, because Ethan doesn't want any rocks. He does have two corner guards and a center guard, but he's going to keep throwing. Sebastian's going to keep throwing up your center guards, and the ice maker's back. He got in case anybody was concerned. Anywhere's they don't want to try to set up a double here either. So this one here, you want to be a little bit closer to the rings than the other one that's just over. So
Mackenzie working on that one there.
Couldn't ask for a better shot, I don't think.
Looks like there must have been a little bit of a tap as the sweepers came in, so they just moved it over a little bit just to get it back into position.
So Ethan's going to try to peel this one out here.
Chris Churchill with his here, looking to peel out that guard.
It's like a good shot, I think.
Gets the hit, gets the roll.
Again, Sebastian's throwing up another guard.
You see, I guess to me, I really like that guard on the left side of the screen simply because stay there as much as possible. You could potentially see him draw to the forefoot and force a draw full four for the win. out of Ethan.
No, yep, for sure. It's great that he's got one, so he's going to keep throwing up the guards at this point, and until probably his last one, hope for a miss. And if he's lucky enough to get a miss out of Ethan, then he'll have 2 guards to hide behind. If not, he'll have that long guard out front there. So another good shot.
A little bit tighter to the rings there.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I will say again, huge crowd out here bright and early on a Thursday morning. If you're in the area, come on down to the Lakeshore Curling Club. There's pretty much 4 draws a day here on, well, today, tomorrow, and then 3 draws on Saturday with the potential for even playing on Sunday, depending on how the results go.
Yeah, so that particular shot there, Ethan jammed it. So now there's 2 guards up. I think that at this point, I never saw where he tapped it. I just looked off to the side for a sec. Is he going to go behind, or he's going to throw up one more guard?
I think if I were him now, you kind of have a good chance that you could come around and set up a really good shot. All depends on if you can get by that center. Gets it by. Question is how far.
Take it back. You want to
not working hard on it.
You want to take that back as
free
you
inch.
can. Yeah. Oh,
lands it right on the 8 foot. Half covered, so it does force some movement.
Yeah. And Ethan's going to try to peel on his own now, the one that they just jammed. Oh, right on the nose. Sure. I don't think that's what he was calling.
So now on to skip stones here.
Sebastian's going to try to come in behind there. I always find that's a tough shot. Because even if he makes it perfect, then that still leaves the opportunity for Ethan to play a run back on his own. So, but he's got lots of room there to hide behind. It's that rock's only just in the full 8 foot.
Yeah, if he can get a good position for it, maybe into the 4 foot, it could set up a really tight result. All depends on the placement again.
Yeah, so this is it's all to the sweepers at this point, and they're coming down. Hammering it too hard, but it is definitely starting to cut. It's starting to dig in there. I think they got to go a little harder than that.
Got to work on it.
Got to go. I think it's a little light. Oh.
Question is it in? It's really, really close.
To wait and see till we get an overhead shot here to see if it's in or not. But
it's a little bit out of camera.
Yeah,
there,
I don't think it's in. So
it does appear called by Ethan Young's team, as I do see Brian McIntosh and Yvonne LeFort headed to ice level.
So I believe they're down to the last 2 rocks over here on sheet B in the extra end. And it doesn't look like there's any rocks in play at all in sheet B. So I believe, no, that one's definitely not in on our feature game.
Okay, so.
And on sheet B right now, I believe Team Wiggle has a draw to pretty much anything in the Abraham has one just biting.
Yeah, just get into the 12 foot and you get yourself a spot in the A final.
So that's our feature game there you're looking at right now. That's Team Young is Shot Rock, the blue one there on the center. There's a timeout been called. They're talking about what the next move should be. And Owen Purcell is throwing his last rock right now on sheet B. And he's just got to be anywhere.
Sweeper's really working on it up there.
Yeah, they seem to be hammering it. I think it looks
off and on, and it will be the game.
I think it looks pretty good. So Team Weagle will win over Team Abraham in the extra end. Sure what the final. They're up one anyways. I can't do all the math. There's too many heads in the way.
Appears to be 6-5.
6-5, yeah.
So
okay.
that will be a final. So that will set up our feature game at 4 o'clock. Will be Matthew Manuel and his team facing off against Team Graham Weagle out of the Chester Curling Club in the A qualifying final.
So it looks like we're back in action here on sheet C.
The last game in action too there. So
yeah, it's our last game. The ice maker's getting antsy, so he's wanting these guys done.
Still a little while to go before our next draw at 12 o'clock.
Yeah. So I'm just waiting to see what's going to happen here on sheet C.
Looks like there were some big cheering signs there for that game on B because it seems the ice shed area has pretty much cleared.
Yeah, it would appear so. It was,
they must have had to rent a crowd all at top.
So this is Ethan's first stone. Looks like he's trying to just block off the center here.
Probably trying to block that path to the stone there.
Looks like it's over curling.
Yeah, it does appear to be. Question is how far?
Interesting, because it over curled. No, we got another timeout.
Timeout called here by Sebastian LeFort. So that will bring LeFort and McIntosh to the ice.
So as one game finishes, there's lots of people leaving here, so we're getting a little bit of everybody seems to be talking.
Yeah, a little bit of excitement there as Team Weagle had a pretty large crowd of supporters there to cheer them on in their match against Ryan Abraham. Abraham will face now the winner of our feature game, and that will take place for them at 4 o'clock.
So the coach for Team LeFort is walking all the way down to the far end of the sheet, so he can have a little better angle there. You can see the coach. So they're talking about what's the best call here. So it's a toughie. Like the draw is tough. You definitely got that. You could get through that hole because I think it'll hang pretty straight there. You could come right down through almost right through the center there. It might even get a flop behind the guard to the right. Or you could draw down as we look at it, the left-hand side of the sheet and draw in, or even the right-hand side, really. I mean, it's not that much curl. So I guess it's whatever to me, as a coach, when I do coach, I always try to give the advice of, these are your options, but you're the one throwing the rock, whoever that might be, in this case, Sebastian LeFort. So, and what are you comfortable with? Are you comfortable with a hit, or are you comfortable with the draw? So, looks like he's going to throw the draw. Going to come down and basically like to suck it in around a little bit of that guard. So he just came short on his last draw a little bit. So now the question is, does he give it a little bit more and it's too much?
So final stone here for Team Special LeFort without Hammer in this extra end.
Boys.
Couture and McNutt working it. It's got to come down now.
It does have to come down a little bit. Seems like it could be a little bit heavy. Ooh.
Will it? Oh.
Oh, just a
It
little bit
looks
heavy.
like it will be through, and it will be. It appears to be the game there, so Ethan Young will throw. It will be a single in the extra end, 8-7 the final. A few final thoughts there, Chris, as we close out this matchup.
It was a good game. It went back and forth the whole way. It went to an extra end. You know, there was a couple times I wouldn't have thought it would have gone to an extra end. Definitely did go to an extra end, and lots of good shots made by both teams, and unfortunately both can't win, but it came out that Ethan came on top. So Ethan will play Ryan Abraham this afternoon at 4 o'clock, and Sebastian plays.
Sebastian LeFort will play against. That's yet to be determined. That game, I believe, will take place tomorrow morning at 8 a.m.
Oh, okay.
So that does set up our make the final 8-7 Young over LeFort. Our next feature game will be at 12 o'clock on sheet D, and it will be Stephanie Carson versus Caitlin Jones. We will also return at 4 o'clock for the boys A final between Matthew Manuel and Graham Weigel. Till we talk to you again on behalf of our crew at 45 North Bellline TV1 and my broadcast colleague Chris Mosier, I'm John Seitman. Good day from the Lakeshore Curling Club.
I don't know why I said pretty good.